Hello, everyone, and welcome to Weekly Manga Recap here on this sadistic September of 2018. I am Nick. Here is Chris, and we are your victims this year, as we are every year around this time.
Nick, rumors of my death have been greatly exaggerated.
I didn't hear any rumors about your death.
So, I go to a card store to play Magic, usually like once a week.
Oh, that's
I usually
cool.
do some drafts of Magic there.
You fucking nerd. But
Yeah.
okay, that's cool.
Fair enough. All right, Manga podcast, but I'll get hit for MTG, sure. So I show up this past week. I go to the card store owner, and he's hanging some stuff on the wall, and it comes down. And he's like, "I'm just going to say hey," and he's like, "Hey, man, I'm really glad to see you," and it's gonna sound kind of weird as to why, and I'm like, "All right." And this card store is in a mall, so he says, "Yeah, so."
I wish my mall was cool enough to have card stores. Those are limited to strictly strip malls down here.
Aw. Oh, well, this mall's falling apart, so I don't know if it's really a big
Oh,
one.
okay.
So he's like, yeah, so the next day after you guys were here for the draft, one of the security guards came in and said, hey,
The draft game that you we were describing to me, or
well, draft Magic, like when you draft Magic.
you were explaining that to me. Okay,
Yeah. So security guard came in and was like, hey, I just want to let you know, one of the guys that plays your game that was here last night, I don't know what his name is, I think it might have been Chris, we found him dead in his car from a heroin overdose.
Fuck.
So I hadn't come back to the game store in like a week, and when I came in, the guy's like, yeah, I mean, we just kind of all thought you had died from a heroin overdose. And I was like,
You look like the kind of guy who would overdose on heroin, and then
well, that's the joke I even made. And he's like, you know, you say that, but I've known a lot of guys who you would never have expected it from that had happened. And I was like, shit. So for like the last like week, everyone's thought I've been dead. It's like, yeah, well, like, and he's
in
like,
a particular social circle, sure.
and he's like, and you know, like, man, it's like kind of a relief because like the some of the days I was just really down thinking about that you were dead, and I was like, you know, this is kind of one of the more endearing stories I've ever had. I was like,
That's actually really nice.
Everyone thought I was dead, and they were actually sad and mournful about it. I was like, I can dig that. I can get into it.
That kind of thing where, you know, how wanting to kind of know how people would react if they thought that you had died, and then it turns out that there's someone who would have really felt bad about it. So
Yeah.
that's cool. So that is actually, in its own way, kind of a relief. You got all of the good parts of dying without the bad parts.
Yeah, well, we're still trying to figure out who did overdose from heroin.
Who did die?
We're like trying to figure
Who
out.
do we have to feel bad about?
Someone overdosed from heroin, apparently. He said it was like one of us. The draft that I had left that they then reported after, only 4 people were present for that draft, and we can account for 3 of them already. I think the other one's a friend of the owner, so I'm pretty sure everyone's accounted for. So I don't know if it's just a mistake or what, but
So it's a murder mystery, but you have to find out who.
yeah, who
the
the?
victim?
I'm just waiting until like we find the security guard again. He's like, "What? Oh no, sorry, I meant." I found a person dead from heroin in their car, and I thought you'd be interested. He's like, why would we? There was.
You go to the police about this, and he's like, "Who was the officer who told you about that?" "Oh, Officer Bob Brady," or what the fuck? I was like, "He's been dead for years."
Come to think of it, why am I talking to nobody? And that's like when I notice I'm seeing go, like, no!
Disappear like you've been killed by Thanos.
There was so much stuff to do. The new Magic set was going to come out this weekend.
Well, okay, I'll give you that one because the story is tied to magic. But that's a great story. Yeah. Of course, I would horribly miss you if you died. Just to let you know.
Oh, that's very good to hear.
What did I do on Thursdays?
You're like, I'd have to do something new.
I'm so bored. Well, what did you used to do on Thursdays? Anyway, I can't really draw out this preamble much longer because we have so much manga to talk about, Chris. We have recommendation that we have to go through, and we have 12 different series we have to talk about, including Jump Starts and freaking Boruto and the Crunchyroll series. So we are just going to have to get right into this. The recommendation we took this week was Flame of Recca. Series was recommended to us for Sadistic September. It's a series that you have history with for basically being disappointed in years ago after getting really into it for quite a while.
Well, I shouldn't say getting really into it. So let me explain sort of the genesis of all this. So I first read Flame of Recca back when I was a teenager in high school, back when manga was still at this kind of cool point it'll never be at again, where there wasn't digital manga yet. There was only really print volumes, and everything was behind in Japan. So series were coming out at a semi-rapid pace because they had tons of series to work on. They just need to translate, and there was a lot of pressure to try to get some series out. So you'd pick up a volume of Bleach, and at the end of the volume, it would say, hey, next volume comes out in 2 months or 3 months or something like that. And that was sort of the thing. And buying manga in volume form almost kind of became like a comic pull list where you were just like, oh, like these are the series I'm picking up this month because these are the ones that come out. And then there'd be months where like certain series aren't coming out. So you'd be like, okay, maybe I'll try something new this month. And that was what Flame of Recca was. Flame of Recca was something that I went off on a limb and said, hey, this looks kind of interesting. Why don't I pick it up and try it out? And I think every volume back in the day, if it was like a Viz or a Shonen Jump title, was like $6, $7 for a volume, something like that.
That's pretty good. So
yeah. So I collected, I think it was either 8 or 9 volumes of it.
So a sizable amount for any series, really. Yeah.
And I'll be honest, it was one of those things where I was like, I always kept buying another volume to be like, maybe it gets better. Because I kind of was into the premise. I mean, it wasn't a hard thing to get into. It was a bunch of fighting. That was what I was into when I was reading manga. I read nothing but battle shonen series. So it's one of those things.
And it's a very battle-heavy series.
So there's tons of it. And
not get too far ahead of ourselves.
It's so disappointing. Because I got into the middle of the tournament arc, which I think has to be a Guinness World Record for the world's longest fucking tournament arc, by the way. I stopped, like, I want to say it's like 4 volumes in, and I think it goes on for another 10. Like, it's that fucking long of a tournament arc. But I stopped because I was like, I just don't want to, like, I'm paying $8 a month for this stupid thing, and I hate it. Like, it's not that interesting. It's just boring. And it was honestly probably more the money than anything else that really made me hate it, where I was just like, it's $8 to be pissed off by something or to be disappointed by something. Who would want to do this?
It's a different sort of investment than going to a movie too, because it's not like you probably spend back then around the same amount to go see a movie, but each movie is completely different as opposed to, it's like if you went to the Marvel movies. And every single time you went to a Marvel movie, you were disappointed. And you're like, I think this is going to get better, though.
Yeah.
And it disappointed you again.
I would say no movie ends with the clockwork amount of wet farts that conflicts and Flame of Recca do. So it's one of those things where, like, you really have to understand how disappointing it felt like a lot of the times during fights and stuff like that. But that's kind of where I always had the animosity from. So that's why we picked up this chapter. I was thinking to myself, I was like, I don't know if the series is necessarily going to be as bad as, say, Air Gear or Prince of Tennis, because those were really bad series. And I think this maybe was just average. So one thing I did is I made sure I paid for every volume of Flame of Recca, so I could capture that sadistic angle of it, of just being like, fuck, I spent so much goddamn money on this stupid series. But I will note ahead of time, not to bury the lead, this may be the worst Sadistic September series you had to read. I hated reading Flame of Recca in a way I cannot describe.
All right, I should, I guess, describe a little bit of my reading experience for this. It was a blur. My Sadistic September has been through stuff outside of the podcast. I've been very busy and had a lot of stuff that has been disappointing to me. And so whenever I've had time to read manga, I've just been blowing through the series and absorbing very little of it. It was very helpful to have such a combat heavy series because fight scene happens and all that stuff. So of course that came with the issue at the end of, well, shit, what am I going to talk about then if I've absorbed so little of this series? Which is, I mean, that's a review in and of itself, as I read a lot of it and don't remember any of it. So I went back in order to actually like, okay, I'm going to drill into myself some of this stuff, at least from early on. And it's so bland, Chris. It is so bland. It left so little of an impression on me. And if this is a long series. It ran for like 33 volumes. So that's
Trust me, I'm remembering.
Okay, I'll leave it to you to remember stats and figures.
I don't want to dig too deep into the stats and figures. I don't want somebody to do the math and make me realize how much money I wasted on this.
Okay, but it was a long-running series. It ran for some like 7 to 8 years. Good length for this sort of series. It's had an anime adaptation, and of course, it's been around among English audiences for a while because it was very good timing for that. It was a series that became popular in the late 90s, and manga was getting really popular over here around that time. So yeah, really natural fit to be brought over. I have experienced a large number of shonen battle series, and I don't know if I've read a single one that is as my first fan fiction as this series was. Yeah. It's like someone picked up one of those create your own manga handbooks and used that in order to create this series. I can understand, as far as I understand, the creator of the series, Nobuyuki Anzai, this was his first major series, and you could definitely tell that there were definitely certain ways that he improved over time. The art looks considerably better with time, as a lot of manga artists, as they do an ongoing series, eventually become. But I don't really understand how this manga caught on to begin with, if I'm being completely honest.
I know why. And it actually kind of fits to what you just mentioned before. This feels very in the wheelhouse, I think, of a lot of people, where they can be like, oh, I write stuff like this all the time. When I was, again, like a teenager, I was writing this series called Power Battlers, Nick. And it was about all these guys who had different powers and they fought each other. And I wrote whole
You would never gather that from the title.
It was, yeah. And I wrote whole fucking books about this shit, just nonsense of people finding reasons to fight each other and cool powers and fighting all sorts of stuff.
I've told you guys about that my fan fiction account is out there still.
Yeah. So you can pull yourself away from that and say like, oh yeah, I kind of wrote that back then because, when you're younger, that's kind of what's cool and interesting. And that's what I think people were able to look at and get into with Flame of Recca was when they're at that level, Flame of Recca seems very appealing because it has all these different kinds of powers and its fights. There's so many fights. You don't have to deal with talking. You don't have to deal with emotions. They stick little jokes in there to keep you entertained, but you get the fights, man. If you ever want a series, you just want to watch fights. I mean, you're not going to want to because the fights in this are ass garbage. But if you want to see fights just existing, that's all this is. This series has a plot that can be summed up like this. There were fire ninjas back in the day and they made magic items. A couple of them got transported forward in time and conflicts ensued with someone chasing eternal life. That's it.
Well, when you put it that way,
everything else that happens in this series, the answer to it, if you ask a question, the answer to it is because fights. Why do they go in that cave, Nick? Why do they have to go in there? Because a cave would allow them to have more fights. It'd be branching paths, so everyone would get their own fight. They get fights that way. Why do they need to collect discs? Because that creates fights. They have to collect.
This is sounding very much like Air Gear when I think about it. The diverging cave paths.
Everything is a fight. Why is a giant illegal martial arts tournament the way the villain plans to get his hands on the healer girl who's the MacGuffin? They're like, well,
because then they have a lot of people there that they can do croquet with, right?
Yeah, they can actually have a lot of fights. Is the actual answer to that? Why does the villain group, who their sole goal is to win so that they can take this girl, why do they split their strongest character, all their strongest members, into like 7 different teams that end up having to go against each other at different points in the series instead of just forming one super team together? Because you can do more fights this way. You can have so many fights if you just have everyone be separate and they can have their own fights.
So what you're saying, basically, if I back up a little bit, is that you think that the series caught on because it may not have a very deep appeal, but it has a very broad appeal. Yes. Because there's that shonen audience that likes to have battle series. I actually was curious about the context, and only just before we started this series, the episode rather, I looked up some of the stuff. Like, okay, this is a series that debuted in 1995. It was a weekly Shonen Sunday. What the hell else was going on at the time that this was out? And when I look in Shonen Sunday, it's like, oh, okay, there was a Mitsuru Adachi series, because of course there was, because that guy has put out like a series for 30 years in a row with like only 2-year breaks in between. There was Detective Conan had started just the year before and is still going on now. I think like the year after Inuyasha started up. And then that kind of made me realize, like, okay, well, that explains the art style of the series. I don't, and also I think goes to explain another problem that I have with it, which is, man, they did not wait in order to start those ship teases, did they? They just, here's a guy and a girl, they like each other, just bam.
I was fully expecting you when you were telling that you'd be like, so I was also curious to see what was going on in the, other big competition of the magazine. See if there's any similarities, cough, cough, Yu Yu Hakusho, that you can maybe see on the other side of things. Cough,
what?
cough.
There's no comparisons that you could draw between Flame of Recca and Yu Yu Hakusho. Shut up.
Yeah, their names aren't even alike.
I was curious specifically about the context of the magazine that it was in, and it did actually, like, okay, that explains some of the elements that are in the story. I guess if we want to dive into it, like I said, broad appeal, not very deep. I don't think that there's a very deep discussion to have, but so our main character, okay, you're going to have to, I think, navigate us a bit on this, but.
Getting into specifics, as I said, we could go here and we could sit and talk about every character, but I don't really think there's much of a purpose because, again, everything that's generally in this series is a vehicle to get more fights involved with it. There's not generally much more to that. It's not like there's too many characters that kind of sit around to serve an extra purpose. Maybe Recca's dad. I don't think he ever gets involved with fights, but he's like a quadrary character at this point. He's barely involved in anything. I started off thinking that this series was just really boring and bland because I was like, I'm just kind of, it's like, very simple kind of ideas. Nothing's really too exciting. Almost everything kind of has the same conclusions I was expecting. And for a series that's all about fights, it's the way it draws action is really unintelligible. Like, it's very difficult to tell what's happening. Maybe part of that is because the main character's power is to shoot fire, and fire is not a very visual medium. Like, it's hard to really express what flames are doing per se, especially when he's like shooting fireballs to knock people out.
You can do stuff with fire. I think you just have to actually.
Well, you have to be good at it.
Yeah. Well, obviously, what he should have been doing was punching people with it.
He should have. But
nothing else.
It's just kind of boring. There's parts that in like the early, and I'm referring kind of to the entirety of the martial arts tournament, which again I think is maybe a world record for longest tournament arc. This thing goes on, I think, for 10 or 12 volumes. It's stupidly long. And for the most part, it's pretty boring. It actually does live up to a little bit of it when they finally get to the final round, and a couple of the fights within it are pretty exciting. But then there's some that are just stupid. And there's moments where like there's just little bits of stupidity that bother me. Like when Fuko gets a fight against, I think it's Makoto, and she's like in this doll. And in the middle of the match, they decide to be like, there's a little boy in the audience who has a little brother and their dad died from Makoto, and they're really cheering on Fuko. Like, they added it immediately. Like, they're like, here's the emotional stakes to this fight. I was like, oh, all right, fine, whatever.
And Fuko knows about them.
Yeah, Fuko met them previously. She met them previously because they told them the whole story about how Makoto killed their dad. The kids never mentioned the fact that Makoto killed their dad by stabbing him with a poison that killed him 5 minutes later. Never mentioned that to her. So
we know exactly how he was killed. Good luck.
They literally comment on it during the fight. They're like, oh, this is how she killed dad. I was like, you never thought to mention this to Fuko when you were begging them to begging her to avenge her father?
I wanted her to win. I didn't want her to know how to win.
Yeah, I was like, I mean, come on. I put bets down. I'm a smart bettor. And the line's like plus 75 on Makoto. Of course I'm not going to lose out on that. What are you talking about?
You know how much money we made when she killed our dad?
Like, we bet the house on that. We lost the house afterwards, but man.
Because there was no parent around to pay the rent after that. But
yeah, child services took the house, but man, it was a nice house for a little bit.
Also, no dad. We could have as many parties as we wanted. That was how child services found out.
But there's so many fights within the arcs that just kind of end on non-climaxes, or that kind of tease that something might happen and then don't deliver on it. Like, there's one moment that I really got excited about. So, of the characters, there's a 5-man band that essentially is created. Recca is your lead. You have Takia, who's kind of like the quiet, like, you know, Lancer / Karamba of the group. He's sort of like,
I am the calm and cool one.
Yeah, he's the serious one. He's the one who would probably be most likely to kill you within the group. There's Fuko, who's like this spunky girl rather. There's Kaoru, who's like a kid genius, and then there's Doman, who's like just kind of a big, strong, kind of like bully turned friend kind of character. And
which happened very quickly, by the way.
Yeah. And early on, they kind of show like, yeah, he's kind of the weak link of his team because unlike everyone else, he's not really practically trained or anything like that. But then, because fucking everyone is a goddamn character. There's Rekka's mom, who's present throughout the entire fucking series, thinks to herself like, wow, Doman's actually pretty ingenious. He might actually have the highest potential of anyone on this team because he actually uses like, everyone has like their one fucking magic item that they use. But Doman doesn't stick to that. Occasionally he'll add other ones and he'll use them. And you're like, as like enemies' weapons that he's gotten. And you're like, oh, okay. Kind of interesting. And they kind of like, he has high potential. You're like, oh, so like, this is kind of a unique twist. Doman, despite being kind of like the big bully, like thug, like, you know, meathead of the group, actually is the one with the highest potential because he has a lot of creativity and like ingenuity in the way he does things, and he has a high potential because he doesn't limit himself in that way, and maybe he's not rigidly struck to a style like the other characters. And that never comes up again because he becomes more and more simple-minded later on, to the point where he literally wins one match because of how fucking single-mindedly stupid it is. And I'll get to that. I have like a whole fucking rant prepared for the fucking saga that is that stupid cave arc. But you're just like, why would we even set it up if it's just like, yeah, it's not really, Doman's not actually smart. He's like, everyone comments about how much of an idiot he is after that. You're like, I don't like, why put those teases in if it doesn't go anywhere?
I guess I was wrong.
Did you, how far did you get?
I don't even remember, Chris.
Okay, so you know Takia though, and you know his whole thing. He's like, my sister was murdered. And did you get to the part where he meets his quote unquote murderer during the tournament?
I think so.
Kai, the guy with like the sword arm with the dreadlocks.
Yes.
Okay. It turns out he's not the real killer. The real killer is his master. And you're like, all right, that's like a long tease thing to see what's happening. How do you think that conflict ends, Nick? That I find that his master has been deceiving him all along and has actually trained this guy, Kai, like intentionally treated him shitty so that he would raise him in anger to be stronger than Takia so that he could kill him. And he's the one who killed Takia's sister.
Turns out that he did it for good reasons.
Almost. They don't get to this fight until the very fucking end of the series. It's like, okay. They go, of course they fucking, after an entire fucking arc about being like, all right, we have to go around this fucking base to find discs and split up and find discs so we can get it to the tower. Then they get to the tower and they're like, there's elevators and only one of each of us can fit in and it'll go to different parts of the tower and we all have to meet at the top. And you're like, holy fuck, this shit be more contrived. Takia goes in one elevator and it brings him up to his fucking, the master character. Okay. And you're like, okay, big fucking fight coming on. Like the fight with Kai was one of the more interesting fights.
Wait. I'm actually your sister.
Not far off. So you're expecting this big badass fight between these two master swordsmen with these unique elemental weapons. And when it gets in there, fucking the master's really like old and shriveled and can't fight very well. Like he's really strong still, but he can't really fight so well. And then like he doesn't, like he kind of loses because like Takia shows like he's like kind of good, and then he's like, I guess I'll reveal the whole story. I'm your grandfather. Turns out I didn't kill your sister. Actually, it was random thugs in Uraha who fucking, that's a whole other thing. It was a bunch of random thugs. They wanted, your sister was actually going to be the new swordsman, but she got killed protecting you, so she passed the thing on to you, and that's why I trained you. And I'm kind of sorry, I wasn't a great grandpa. And
why didn't he? Wait. Why didn't he tell him that?
Because fights. Because yeah, there couldn't be a revenge fight if he told him and just like treated him like a person.
There's going to be like a revelation of why you hit the truth. It better be for a good fucking reason.
There are so much of this series that is just constant, like what was the purpose of this? And it's just like, I don't know. Sometimes there's like the last arc starts with, so the last arc is like, all right, they've kidnapped Yanagi because Yanagi's like the love interest of the series, and she has the power to heal. She's the MacGuffin.
She's the kidnapper.
Yeah,
she's the kidnappee of the series.
So they finally kidnap her actively though, like get her in the clutches of the bad guy, and the bad guy's gonna absorb her to become the ultimate being.
Right.
So they get there and they're like, all right, so the base is a giant tower in a lake of tar. So you have to go around the surrounding facilities, which is like a fucking Pokemon battle frontier. Like one's a pyramid, one's a pantheon, one's a bondage cafe, one's a weapons lab. You have to go around, and I've hidden 5 discs in opponents, and you have to get all the discs together to actually get into the tower. So they go all in and they get all the discs, and there's fights happening.
What kind of a fucking security system is this exactly? How would you actually get inside? Well, what is the purpose of providing all the discs? Why not just like lock the front door?
You have to fight. You have to fight to get every disc. So
but this makes no sense as like a villainous like fortress, though. Like if you want them to stay away from you, why don't you just fucking lock the front door and then not have discs that can unlock it?
Well, because the villain, ultimate villain Mori, who's like sort of like this evil businessman who fuses with like an ancient time lost fucking evil wizard. Fucking stupid. They're fused together and they're like sadistic and weird like that. So they kind of want to see them suffer.
Though.
Oh, that's the entirety of this series, though. If you want to get here, villains have one of 2 endings to them. 1, they get redeemed to become friends and help the heroes at some point in the series. Or 2, they are sadistic, irredeemable super monsters. And you'd be shocked which ones end up in the first category. A pedophile ends up in the first category. And you're like, okay, sure. Why not? Stupid.
What are your thoughts on on Recca himself?
He sucks. He's boring. He doesn't do anything. He just shows up and shoots fire at stuff, and he has they're all boring. His most interesting thing about him is that he has a bunch of different styles of dragon fighting fireball shit, and
that's all just fighting stuff. It's not character based. So
yeah, and even that has like the limp dick reveal, like in the middle of one fight when one guy's like, "I can beat you because you can only use 1 at a time." He's like, "I can use 2 at a time." And they're like, "Whoa!" And then later on, it's not even an important fight. He's fighting some fucking nobody, and he's just like, "You can use 3 at a time," and it's just like, yeah, I guess nobody.
It's like juggling. Once you've gotten the 2 down, it's really easy to move up to 3.
You're just like, fine, fuck it, fine, whatever. Guess he can use all of them. It's all, he's so intrinsically tied to this like fire ninja Hokage bullshit and protecting princess. Their relationship has absolutely no chemistry to it. It's exactly what you'd expect 2 teenagers who like each other. Like they don't connect in any way. It's not like there's ever really scenes of them interacting so much beyond him occasionally joking around with her.
Let's go back to the beginning on this, because that's really all you need to know about their relationship, and it's the stuff that's the freshest in my mind.
Okay.
So at the beginning of the story, we meet Recca, and he wants to be a ninja just cuz. It turns out he's a descendant of like a ninja or something. He's a descendant of he is the heir to the Hokage ninja leadership clan stuff. He that does not explain why he wants to be a ninja when he's a normal nerdy Japanese high school kid. Well, maybe that would, and so he is always wearing like a ninja sleeve with arm guards and stuff on it, and he's carrying bombs and shuriken and shit around because like, I'll be a ninja, like a fucking little weirdo. And I could not get a grasp of how he fit into the social circle at his school.
Well, everyone likes him. Like, they think he's stupid, but he's popular.
Well, that's the thing. He keeps on offering to people that he will become their ninja if they can best him in combat. And that is the reason why Domon, or he thinks the reason why Domon kept on trying to fight him. In reality, Domon kept on trying to fight him so that he could impress Fuko, who he has a crush on, because Fuko could never beat Recca in a fight. And Everything's related to fighting.
Everything is fighting in this.
I could literally not figure out the beginning because Recca's going around being like, if you could beat me, I'll be your ninja who serves you. And these random assholes are like hitting on Yanagi. And he's like, I am a ninja and I will defend her honor. And they're like, what the fuck are you, you weird ninja idiot? And then they beat him up. And then Yanagi uses her healing powers on him to heal him. And he's like, you are my princess and I'll defend you. Also, since you use your healing powers to protect and heal me, here, check it out. I have fire powers. You have a secret power and I have a secret power. Let's be friends and I will serve you as a ninja because you are my princess. End of chapter 1.
Yep.
That's literally where the first chapter ends. No establishment of anything important going on in the series.
Why? We established he has fire powers, she has healing powers. He could use his fire powers to fight. She can use her healing powers to heal him after the fight so he can have another fight.
No explanation of where the powers come from, why Yanagi is important.
We do get answers to all of that, Nick. It's actually...
We do, but it's just like, it's such a weird...
It's very fitting he calls her princess.
It turns out... Yeah, because she's also got... There are so many, like, reincarnations of stuff. Like, if you want an answer, it's Yu-Gi-Oh!, basically. Everyone important is an incarnation of somebody who is important. And that's basically it.
Or they're time traveled.
Yeah, but shut up.
I wanna talk about this second arc because, as I said, I started off thinking the series was just kind of boring and slow, and that was annoying and frustrating. But that's one thing, you know. And honestly, I kind of did hate that even more than something that we read previously because we've said before, I'd rather read something that's bad than something that's boring. Because boring just feels like I'm wasting time. At least something that's bad is memorable. But lo and behold, Nick, the second major arc or saga, the cave, whatever the fuck we'd call it, the Tenjo, Jukujo, whatever bullshit it is, that arc is one of the stupidest things I've ever read, with some of the worst anticlimaxes at all. So the way this starts is they're like, hey, the big villain who got away before... He's still around, and he has this group. I guess I should define Uruha, which is like, I don't know what they are. They work for Mori, who's like an evil businessman. It's almost like, think of it like a Street Fighter plot, where you're just like an evil businessman controls a league of super assassins.
Yeah.
I don't know what they do. There are thousands of these people. I don't know what they assassinate, because they all use special weaponry, which is not a common knowledge in reality. They all exist within like the legacy of the Hokage and this bullshit that doesn't seem to permeate anywhere outside of like this very small underground section of Japan. So he employs thousands to do nothing, I guess. Within his branch, this big group, he has a specialized second group that exists just to be assassins to people who are traitors to Uruha. That's all they are. That's the only thing they do, is to kill other people who have betrayed Uruha. So this arc starts off with all the members of Hokage kind of going home after last arc, and they're like, yeah, it's pretty cool. Like, we're all doing all right. And they all get stalked. They all get stalked by a different member of this group. And they all get into fights. And some of them kind of lose. Some of them kind of like draw. But basically, like, Doman's basically almost killed by the guy that encounters him. And it's like this big thing where like they all get pulled away before any real like definitive kind of action could be. And they're like, hey, well, you know, we're going to encounter you guys again in this thing. And it's this big deal. And there's this big kind of mysterious villain, this guy called Rasen, who has like no emotions, and he has no voice. He doesn't even speak. And he has this cold killer eyes, and you don't know how strong he is, but he's crazy powerful because he took over the entire group after the last villain died. You're like, all right, this guy's got some power to him. They go to this arc, and you're like, okay, maybe this is going to be a smaller arc because they already defined the 5 people that they'll be fighting, which is, you know, 5 is a very significant number. There's 5 members of Hokage, so, you know, 1 opponent for each, basically. They get to this fucking cave. Immediately, as soon as they get into the cave, splits off into different paths. They have to break up into different groups. And Doman ends up first meeting the opponent that he fought. And it's this guy called Gao, who's really angry because Doman fought his little brother at a previous arc, and then Kray killed him because Kray was an evil dickhead. Don't worry, he gets redeemed. He's a great guy at the end of it.
Oh, what about that guy that you just mercilessly killed? He didn't pay his parking tickets.
I don't know. They said he was like a serial killer or some shit, so I guess it's fine that he killed him. I don't know.
Yeah, deserves to die. Yeah.
This guy is that guy's older brother. He wants revenge on Doman because he wants revenge on anybody who was responsible for his little brother being killed. And it's kind of interesting because Doman's having this fight, and Recca and Yanagi are with him. And you're like, oh, well, Recca could easily just wreck this dude. But Recca doesn't get involved because Doman's like, no, I have pride. When I lose a fight, I want to win on my own. I don't want people to help me out. It's a pride. I have to do this thing. So he has this fight. And he'd be like, this could be a cool moment showing what Gal's pride's all about. It doesn't end that way. Gal's apparently, for some reason, he's like a heroin addict for chocolate. He needs chocolate. He needs chocolate every couple minutes because the sugar rush goes in and out of him. And he's kicking the shit out of Gal because he has the magic weapon, a staff that can control all Earth. And he could use it at his own will. And he's crushing Doman. And eventually he makes himself this giant suit of rock armor. And he's going to kill him. But he's like, I'm fiending for chocolate again. I have no more. It's an arbitrary thing. It's not like Doman saw that he needed chocolate and destroyed part of it or something like that to limit his resources. He just arbitrarily has run out of chocolate. And he's like, I need more. I smell a piece of chocolate on you. So he goes up to Yagi. And he's like, give me your chocolate. She's like, no. So she eats it. And he turns around. And Doman's like, guess you left your staff unattended. And he breaks it. He basically deactivates it. So the dude's like, oh, I can't control the Earth anymore. So my suit of armor is too heavy. And he falls over and he's defeated. And you're like, this was stupid. Doman didn't do shit. Doman only won because this guy's such a fucking idiot that he left his weapon behind and did nothing. I'm spitting on myself. It's so stupid. He just left it there. He stood there, and that's not it. It goes beyond this because that guy turns up in a later arc, and he has the weapon again. So not only did they take it from him, but they gave it back some reason. They were like, he should have it back. He needs it.
Give it back.
They do. So they have more of these fights. There's all these other things. They eventually they're like, oh, actually, those 5 members who stalked you before, it's not all the members of this group. There's a couple more, and then you're eventually like, this is like 6 or 7.
Is a Raytheon safe?
No, it's just like they never defined the number of this group, so they're like, yeah, I mean, it looked like it was 5 before. Turns out it's 16 or something like that. Like there's so many. And you're like, whatever. They get into different
the
fights.
Magical number for a villain group, 16.
They get into so many. Fucking Mokurin shows up, the wood dude, the rocker wood dude. He shows up in every fucking arc, by the way. He is like their fucking Team Rocket. Like he just constantly shows up to be a minor inconvenience. And eventually they get to the point where everyone starts getting almost second fights. It's like this thing where they're like, there's so many members of this group.
Well, yeah, if the villain group is that numerous, then yeah, you can't just have 16 heroes going after him. So.
And I should note, there's one who's, I don't know if he's supposed to be a pedophile, but he's in love and tries to kiss Kaoru, who is 12, a lot. So I don't know what else he could be. Like, everyone in this group is supposed to be a soup. Everyone in this group is insane. There's one guy who keeps girls in a jar, in a pot, and lets them starve to death, and almost everyone is insane in this group, which is a great trait to have for a league of super assassins, where you're just like, I don't know.
When I send an assassin after somebody, the primary trait that I want them to have is mental instability and lack of reliability.
Yeah, I want them to be as unreliable as possible.
I want them to have vices and urges and distractions that will always deviate them from their sole goal, which is killing without having to think about it. By the way, sadism is not a good trait for an assassin to have. It's
yeah. When they're just like, I could slowly torture you. Why don't you just
kill them?
I don't want to do that. I want to torture you.
No, I've got a stiffy. I don't want to finish too quickly, okay? Cry for help. Yes, do it. Yeah. Cry for help while we're in this populous area.
So, Rasen has a second in command. Her name's Corinne. And she's like this 19-year-old girl, and she can read minds. She basically communicates for Rasen. She loves him. It's a whole thing. But she's built to be a very powerful person because she can read minds. And Recca can't even stop her because she can predict everything he's going to do and counter it. So it's this big thing. They're like, how are we going to beat her? And Corinne is dressed, and she has sunglasses. She has a pair of jeans. She has these gloves. And then she's wearing sort of this tie tube top thing.
Of course.
Which is very important that I specify. because Dolman's like, you can't fight her, Recca. You're gonna lose, so I'll fight her. I'm stupid. I'm simple-minded as fuck, apparently, so I'll do it. So he goes to try to punch her, and he misses with one of his punches. And I don't know how the fuck he does it. He fucking punches her tube top straight off. Just knocks it straight off. And that's when they reveal. I don't know who the fuck says it. Somebody from fucking the horror group's there to be like, oh, well, here's the thing about Corinne. Her one weakness is that she can't deal with anything sexually explicit. Like, and they explain it to like,
how's she gonna fight teenage boys then?
She's never kissed a boy. She turns off television when it's racy. She gets a fever and passes out if she sees a sexy magazine. So you're like, well, why the fuck did she show up to this martial arts fighting deathmatch thing in a tube top then? And they're like, somebody was in the room when this was being written and said that same thing. And the manga was like, guys, I got it. So she says, I knew I shouldn't have worn this, but it's so hot. Nobody in this fucking arc, to this point or afterwards, comments on the fact that it's hot in this cave. No one says a goddamn thing about it. And what it follows is Doman continuously marches up to her, thinking single-mindedly over and over again, boobies, 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 boobies. And she is defeated by pure embarrassment. It's bullshit. Moving on to the next part. So Rawson's fight is even more horseshit.
You got like a checklist we're running down.
I really had to get into this. Rawson, they introduce him. He's like this big antagonist they've kind of set up. He's mysterious. He's quiet. Who knows what limits he has? He reveals his power. He has a weapon that can erase anything. Oh my God, it could erase your arm. Not just that. It could erase your entire body. It could erase your memories. It could erase illnesses. It could erase intangible things. It has that much power to it. But there's a drawback. Every time it erases something, he loses something in return. That's how he lost his voice, how he lost his emotions, and how he lost, gasp, his mother. Very key point to all of this. Recca cannot defeat this guy. He's too strong. He just erases all of his fireballs. And all he has to lose in return is a little bit of blood. How can Recca possibly defeat him? He gives up. Rawson just like, eventually they talk, and he's just like, you shouldn't use that weapon anymore. He's like, bro, I guess you're right. And he doesn't.
Good point.
He stops you, gives up the fight, surrenders, appears once in the series, does nothing, and that's it.
You should stop using that. It's not good for you. Man, I never thought of it that way.
I mean, you bring up a great point. I guess I should. You're just like, what the fuck? I mean,
you know what? When I erased my mom from existence, I was like, no, this is still worth it. But, you saying that it wasn't worth it, man.
Yeah, I guess you really cut to the core of me. Like, you really hammered in everything that I've been thinking.
I guess I just wasn't brave enough to admit to myself up until this point. So, yeah, you're right.
His whole thing's like, I want to be erased from existence. Like, I need to be punished for erasing my mom. And Recca's like, you shouldn't do that. And he's like, go on, you've defeated me.
Okay. Yeah, good point.
Fuck, man. So he goes on. And this is where Mori is fusing with the evil device, and he's trying to break through the seal. And eventually he does, and the evil wizard from before comes back, and he's like embodying this thing, and he's like, he looks at Mori and he's like, no, you're too weak. I want you. And like goes to Recca. And he's like, I want your power. Boy, don't you want power? And Recca has like this line where he's just like, no, I mean, I do want power. I want the power to protect all my friends. He's like, good, you should have it. And he's like, nah, fuck you. No, I already have that power. You're stupid butt face. And the guy's like,
shit, you own me good.
well, this is awkward. Hey, how about you and I do actually fuse together? And he fuses together with the evil businessman, and they become one super entity. And they have this big fight with Recca where like they're like, oh wow, this guy's unstoppable now because he's fused with this thing. But they're fighting, and the entire time this is happening, this guy has created a literal like slave daughter of like pure firepower. And you think she'd be a bodyguard or something, but she's not. She's watching the entire thing happen. They actually turn to her at one point, and they're like, are you going to do anything? She's like, nah, probably not. And they're going to be like, how do you feel about this? Like, your dad turning into this super monster. And she's like, that's fine, I guess. That's fucking, like, they just cut away from that. Then Corey shows up. Corey's back. He's a good guy now. Everybody, he's super cool now. And they start fighting, and like Mori's like, we're unstoppable. Nothing can conquer us. And then the evil wizard in his head's like, no, actually, they're the perfect combination to beat us because they keep burning and splitting us apart. And eventually our division will reach us to the point where we're so insignificant that we'll lose. And you're like, well, this seems like a great time to maybe bring fucking reggae or whatever, Renge in. And I don't know.
Renge.
And they don't. And then eventually, like, a rock falls, and he's like, goodbye, bitches. You're like, wait, you just, like Corey and Recca were like, we'll just burn him. And then a rock falls, and they're like, you missed your chance. And he fucking vanishes. And like you're like, what the fuck was the point of this arc? Like every main antagonist left on an anti-climax, every single one of them. And then they have to escape a falling rock thing. Like, they have to get out before the fucking cave collapses. And you're like, wow, what a great arc. I'm like, no, nothing happens. This could have been a fucking side chapter to be like, evil dude fuses with some blob thing, and that's it. So in the third arc, there's this stuff I have to get through, this stuff that infuriates me so much in this.
Okay, I'm just taking a backseat at this point because it's already taken us so long to get through this.
So there's this point where they're going around, they're in the Pokemon Battle Frontier, and like they're in different areas. And what's kind of cool, and I'll give this to the manga's credit, is they set up people who are opponents at one point and kind of give them an interaction, and then they switch and they have someone else fight him. So Gao shows up again, but instead of trying to fight Doman, he fights Kaoru, and it's this big thing where Kaoru's like he's like, I don't eat chocolate anymore. I won't allow myself to eat chocolate anymore until I kill everybody. I'll allow myself then. I will feast. So I starve, and that power makes me stronger. And like there's this whole thing of like Kaoru's like, I can't beat this guy. He's turned himself into a giant golem. Like, how could I ever do it? And he has a flashback where Kurei was like, I mean, if you don't, you'll die. And he's like, fuck, you're right. So he wins. He beats the guy. He knocks the stone thing into the soldier. And Gao's like, fine, I'll start eating. And he starts eating chocolate. He's like, now that I'm strong, you'll never beat me. Kaoru's like, no, because you ate chocolate shows how weak your will is. You'll never beat me now. And Gao, to this point, has been just like, I will kill everybody. I will murder you. My brother. And then Kaoru says that. He's like, you'll never beat me. And the dude stands straight up, and he's just like, you're right. I suppose I have lost my ways in all of this. And fucking walks off to reevaluate his life. That's it. That's all it took. It was just like, hey, dude, what's going on?
It's like, that's the kind of thing that like happens when like someone has managed to really severely, heavily mock you in school, and you think of a good retort like 2 weeks later, and you didn't get the chance to actually use it, so you imagine dropping an awesome line on them, and then they'd be like, "Oh, I guess you're right. I have no answer for that. Yeah, I guess I better go reevaluate myself. Thank you for showing me the light with your flawless logic."
Like on a dime, this dude loses all level of insanity in his voice. It's just like, "You're right. My brother wouldn't want this. I need to find a different way." So they keep going on. That fight was stereo. That fight was pointless, by the way, because he didn't have one of the 5 discs they need to open their way into the fucking central boss battle tower. So they keep going on. Eventually, they run into a bondage cafe. Another character who serves no purpose. She doesn't have one of the fucking discs either. There's this whole thing about, like, she's like, oh, well, she offers you tea. And you're like, oh, well, do you drink the tea? She's like, well, I'll drink some first. You're like, all right, I guess I'll have some tea. But secret was the tea wasn't the poison, Nick. It was the cup. So you drank poison.
Old one.
Yeah, so Takia actually gets poisoned. He's helpless before. He's going to be turned into a bondage dog slave after a while. And Doman does it. He drinks too. So they're like, oh, it's going to get you too. And he's like, no, I drank the part you drank from because I wanted an indirect kiss. Because I don't know, he's a fucking like the horn dog, I guess. I don't know. Whatever. Then eventually he's
fighting. How would
fighting.
she not have noticed that?
I don't know. So they start having to fight, and Doman starts having this thing. He starts having like a flashback, and he's thinking back to like how simple his life used to be. He starts getting angry because he's like, I wish my life was simple like that. That's what I want it to be again. And you're like, oh, maybe this is gonna be a big moment for Doman to be like, I want to get back to that life I used to have. Then Recca shows up and beats her, and then they leave her like chained, like trapped underneath the statue or something like that. And then she shows up like 6 more fucking times to like have conversations with other people about bullshit. And you're just like, what was the point of this? This is like 7 chapters devoted to this bondage cafe that had nothing to do with the plot. Nothing was accomplished here. No growth was had. No advancement to the plot. She didn't even have one of these stupid discs.
Was it as awkwardly fan servicey as the early instances of fan service in the series?
No, it actually wasn't as bad as that, because in this situation, it was all male fan service generally.
Okay,
because she's the dominatrix, so all of her like bondage dog slave is like a big strong guy and like a ball gag and like a harness and shit.
I'm just thinking of that image that you tweeted out while you were early in the process of working your way through.
Early series did not shy away from just being like, Fuko, get rid of your clothes. You have too many clothes on.
It's not even that she like gets rid of her clothes. It's the way that everyone reacts to it, which is just like, okay.
Yeah.
Like it's the first fucking like actual battle in the entire series. Like Recca has some skirmishes with some bullies, but in terms of like a superpowered individual versus a superpowered individual, this is the first fight in the series. And she is wielding what becomes her token magic item in the series, which gives her control of wind, and she summons like a tornado around herself. And they're really worried because like, yeah, it'll deflect everything, but she'll kill herself because it sucks the oxygen away. And so they're trying to figure out what to do, and Rekka's like, oh, of course, it's weakest in the middle. So he like jumps over the top of it and unleashes his big attack, and it perfectly blows off all of her clothes except her panties, her socks, and shoes, and her headband. That's the weirdest part, actually. How did the headband strike? She's like, be the first one to absorb any damage.
I was like, oh no, you see, I bought a flame retardant headband. Sort of the style.
Of course. Kevin's Kevlar headbands. Yes.
The popular brand.
And so, of course, they have to deal from the fallout of this battle. A lot of it is the fact that Fuko is, basically naked now. And so they're just like, oh, okay, you're naked now. Here, have my jacket.
That happens a lot with Fuko in the early chapters, which actually reminds me of something. So we brought up before how when Fuko fought Makoto, it was like a thing. Her puppet had the ability to, like, if it scratched you once, it would infect you with this poison. So later on, she becomes like a couple with Mukuren, the wood guy, and they have this big fight against Recca and the dude from the fucking martial arts group from the first fucking fight they have, because every fucking character comes back and does a thing.
So yeah, why not?
It's like a combo fight. Do you remember the gimmick to the big martial arts dude, the leader of that group?
No.
If you hit him twice, he'd just let it go. But if you hit him a third time, then he'd become a demon and he'd beat you up.
Okay, right.
So you think, and they when they get into this tag fight, they specifically separate. So he'll fight Makoto, and Recca will fight Mokurin. And you're like, this is an interesting thing. This guy, like the monk dude, he has a special condition. He lets people hit him twice before he'll even start doing anything. She has a weapon that if she just hits you once, you die in 5 minutes. Doesn't use it. I don't think she has it. She's like, I have a stronger puppet now. All it does is punch. It doesn't do anything else. It just punches. And then she gets beat because she punches him 3 times. And he's like, oh, I fucking clocks her.
But my new puppet that's less effective against
She's like, my puppet can bench like 160. Like, that's not actually good. That's
not a lot, actually.
Especially in this series where everyone's like super powered. It does nothing. So everyone, they get all the discs, Nick. They gather them together. They head in, and they're like, now we can enter this tower. We're only the strongest assassins within Uraha. Because I don't know if I firmly established how Uraha's like subdivisions work. There's Uraha, then there's Uraha, which is their assassin group.
Right.
And then within that, there's a league of like 4 super assassins, which I don't know how many traitors to Uraha there are. It feels like you would just need the 4 super assassins and that's it, as opposed to like 17 of them. But whatever, there's a lot.
Chris, that's why they've got to have such a large league of assassins, is because people keep on leaving them, so they're constantly recruiting new people. In order to, got to fill all those slots left by the people who betrayed and left and had to be killed.
Yeah, it's got to be a real problem.
Flawless logic.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of them. So there's this group, and like our 5 heroes are going up there, and you're like, okay. So there's going to be those 3 technically at that point, because one of them gets beaten off, like not off screen, but a one shot by Kure, because Kure shows up and he's awesome. He's fucking so cool, Nick. He's so cool. He shows up and the strongest dude, everyone's like, this dude's the scariest. Don't ever encounter him. Run if you see him. Just run because he's too strong. Like, and he's beating up it's 4 people who are fighting him and they can't. He's going to kill them all. And then Kure shows up and is like, boom, bitch. And he's done. He's fucking murdered. He comes back later for a hot second and get killed again. Anyway, so it's just the 3 of them. And you're like, oh, well, Renge's up there. So it's 4. And then obviously like the big boss. So that's 5. So the 5 members of Kure. I don't know why. They go up the elevator. Somehow members of Kurehe's group are in there. They're like the opponents in some of the towers. And you're like, why are you here? How did you get here? The whole thing was they had to gather these 5 discs and then they went straight in. How are you here? They like 3 different people encounter members of Kurehe's group. And they're just like, all right, I guess we have to fight. And you're like, why? Like,
it's like, what? You guys didn't get your fast passes? Come on, like that's the easiest way to get into the tower.
Fuko's main fight is against Rajan, the guy who has Rajan. I forget what his name is right now, but like they have this thing where they're like, we're gonna have to go against each other, and Fuko's like, we don't have to. And he's like, no, we do. You may be part of Hokage, we may want the same goal, but you're Hokage and I'm Uruha, so by that nature we're enemies. She's like,
yeah, okay.
Story checks out. I guess we have to fight to the death. You're like, why?
I mean, like, no arguing with him.
Even if you were like, I mean, yeah, we're gonna eventually come to conflict. Wouldn't you wait until you solve like the potential world-ending final boss first, and then be like, all right, I guess
this guy's here right now. We might as well take care of this now.
Like, nah, I guess we walked into the same room against one another. I don't know how I got here. I fucking wandered around and got 20 floors up this tower stuck in the middle of a pit of toxic tar.
When Pokemon trainers' eyes meet, you have to battle.
And they do. And in stunning defeat, flying beats electricity this time. It's crazy. There's a whole thing. Also, Joker gets sucked into a black hole so he could appear in a sequel series later on. But he also had a thing where he was like, not a sequel series. He appears in the author's next series as time displaced, sort of like, I'm in a new reality now because I got sucked into a black hole. Anyway, that's when it actually like stops being goo. Oh, actually, hold on. There's one other thing. Renge fights Kurei, and it's 2 chapters, and he scares her off, and she never shows up again.
Okay, cool.
You built her up so much, and he's just like, my fire's better than yours. And she's like, Daddy! And she disappears. Why? Why did you spend... After that's done.
Well, she gets killed, though.
I don't even remember when she gets killed.
Renge.
She runs away from Kurei. She might show up again during the final battle.
Yeah,
and probably just gets absorbed or something like that.
Yeah.
But she just like, there's no actual like conclusion to that kind of encounter. Like, it's not like they have like a final battle where he proves he's the superior fire master. She just is like, oh, I guess I'm an insane person, so I run away out of fear. Then the final battle happens, and this is where the series just like drops back, because the final battle isn't that bad. It's just boring. It's very meh. It's not pretty. It's not very exciting. There's a bunch of stuff that happens. It's all kind of connected with the lore of this universe, which isn't very interesting. And then it ends. And you're just like, okay. And because of the way this series is paced, where it's like boring, god-awful stupid for so long, and then ends on this weird note of being like, okay. I really reached a point where I was getting into the last volumes. I was like, I just want it to fucking end. And then like, as I was going through the end, I felt like I was like leaving my body and looking up and staring at myself. And somehow there was like a HUD where I could see the money and time I was wasting just ticking up like a gas tank, like a gas fucking station, like just going up. And it's just like, what are you doing? Do anything else? Rewatch Power Rangers openings. Anything. And that's Flavor Recca.
So there you go, guys. If you're going to invest time and money into a series, there has to eventually come a point where you have to take a look at what you're doing, and you have to understand that the sunk cost fallacy is at play, and you need to cut yourself off and not do a podcast about it years later.
I fucking hated this manga. I'm so angry that I read the whole thing. And here's the thing. Air Gear is a worse kind of series overall, because Air Gear is just, it's kind of like vulgar and revolting in a way, where you're just eventually like, this is just kind of gross after a while. Like the
stupidity is overwhelming. Yeah.
And you're just like, it's different. This one, you're like, it's a bit more even keeled. There's a couple number of moments I actually really like, and I'll actually like give credit to the manga. It's funny at times. I like a lot of like, it's very like, 1 panel or 2 panel gags where like they really like de-exaggerate the characters into almost like cartoonish like miniatures can be pretty funny. But the fact that it has it doesn't have those like same enormous pitfalls, but it still manages to be like so frustrating and stupid is one thing. But the killer to me, the reason I hate this series, it is non-stop battles all the time, forever, fight forever. Nothing happens. Nobody changes.
Clap.
You're sitting there and you're just like, when does it end? That's the truth of it. It doesn't. Because even once you finish that final battle, and you're sitting there reading the epilogue, you realize that you yourself are now trapped in the world that you were reading, forever forced to sit there and regurgitate these fights over and over again in your head. Hey, wait, they have someone over here who makes skeletons, a skeleton power. We need someone to fight him. You're like, do we have a character for that? I don't know. Why don't we make him a fucking, like, a bipolar, insane fucking guy who eats his own poop some of the time? I don't know.
And then Recca will just show up and just like, hit him and win.
He'll just use a lot of fire and he'll beat him that way. And you're like, okay. The number of characters who become allies in this series who are like bad people is shocking. Like, I could get that you're like, well, we want Kurei to be the anti-hero. Fine. But the fact that a dude who's like a dude who just wanted to like strip Fuko and just like belittle her and was like,
you don't even need to work hard for that. Just wait around and it'll happen, So
yeah, you're just like, why has he become friends with the group? Like, why is he friendly with everybody? He's like, well, I've changed my ways. It's like, have you? You don't do anything since then. I guess I just take your word for it. You're never going to be misogynistic again or whatever. You won't be a weirdo anymore. I can't recommend this series to anybody. And I understand there's some people who are listening because we mentioned before, like, people have liked Flame of Recca who are our audience. We've had Flame of Recca offered to us as legitimate recommendations before. Mm-hmm. And those people, I'm not saying that your enjoyment of the series is misguided or anything like that. As I said, it has a broad appeal. I see why people dig it. It's not surprising to me that it became popular. I hate it with every fiber of my being. More than words could properly express. But it's fine. You can dig it. Not everything is meant for me. So go for it. But I cannot recommend it to anybody. Unless you like throwing away like $200 some.
And I found it to be just really forgettable, honestly. I could not tell you a single character's name outside of the main cast before this podcast. There you go.
Also, side note, there's a scene where Fuko is playing with this little girl who she's kind of adopted as a little sister. And it's really hot out. The little girl's like, I'm going to go get something to drink. What do you want? Fuko says, milk. And I'm like, the fuck would you ask for
what?
Milk? It's hot out. Why would you ask? Room temperature milk, please. That's where they can hit the spot. It's where playing soccer.
All right, let's go play some more. Don't drink milk if you're going to go on exercise.
All right, let's get to the recap.
We have a lot of series to go through, so some of these are going to go by very quickly, especially some of the less important ones. We'll recap our weekly manga recap. We're going to start off with chapter number 199 of My Hero Academia, Operation New Improv Moves. We get a flashback to start this chapter to Tokoyami's time working under Hawks and basically not doing anything. He tries to help out, and Hawks is so fast with his powers that he's immediately taking care of everything. His sidekicks are just basically there for cleanup, and Tokoyami is even slower than them, and he's kind of, oh god, I need to get in shape behind them. There's a lot of bird puns in these scenes. I will spare you most of them, but Tokoyami eventually catches up with Hawks and is like, hey, so if you don't actually have a lot for me to do here, why did you actually choose to, have me on here? And so he's like, oh, because you're bird themed. He's like, seriously? Well, a little bit. Mostly it was like, okay, you're in class 1A and you were dealing with the villain attacks and you were one of the top ranking members of the school festival. So that's basically it. So Tokoyami's like, this means that like it had nothing special to do with who I am. So he got really frustrated over the course of the internship because he didn't really get to do anything. Work study happened though, and Hawks recruited him again. And by this time, Tokiyami had improved. He had the new technique with the like Black Abyss thing, the thing where Dark Shadow covers him like a cowl. So he's actually managing to keep pace with Hawks a little bit better as he flies around doing his business. So Hawks seems to take a shine to him, and so he's like, "Hey, let's go on out for a flight." And it's nighttime, and we see this very awkward picture of Hawks carrying Tokiyami around under the shoulders. Like, it's gonna be very sore on the ribs, him doing that. Like, if you're gonna carry someone like that, Hawks, build a harness for them. Seriously. But Hawks basically says, flying is great, and you're a bird, so you can fly, so you should fly. Essentially, that's what he says. And from that advice, Tokiyami developed this technique, which he demonstrates in the present as they're fighting against Kuro Iru, the guy from Class 1B. And so he has thrown his jacket around. He now casts around himself like a cape, summons Dark Shadow, and unleashes the ability which is called Dark Shadow Black Fallen Angel, which basically he hides Dark Shadow under his cape to keep it surrounded by darkness, and then Dark Shadow puts his claws around Tokiyami, and so with his ability to send out Dark Shadow and have it go and do a whole bunch of stuff, Dark Shadow is now carrying him around, and that way they can basically fly. Unique way of accomplishing that, and I think that's really cool. Immediately he has to fly off after Kuroiru because he grabs Aoyama and starts to carry him through the network of pipes that are obstacles between them and Class 1B. And the rest of their team launches into action. Yairozu shouts out a command to Aoyama, who launches a barrage of his naval laser from all the parts of his armor, which changes the shadows on the pipes, eventually illuminating the place where Kuroiru is and causing him to pop out of the pipe. And so this is kind of Yairozu's first little victory in this, because they came with a strategy to combat this guy. They're going to try and grab him, but all of a sudden, a mushroom appears in Yairozu's nose because the mushroom girl from Class 1B is sending them out in fungusy ways to end the chapter. Apparently, Kendo had actually predicted that things would turn out this way, and so this is the next phase of their plan to fight Class 1A. So a lot of good little stuff in this chapter. I thought that the flashback was actually very funny, honestly. Just that really weird visual of Hawks just awkwardly carrying Tokiyami around, and it's a cool way of a cool and different way of establishing flight, using this unique form of telekinesis to carry yourself around. So
it was satisfying. As I said, I've been sort of low on My Hero recently, just because of the fact we've been reading Flame or Recca so much, and it's been nonstop fights. I'm so OD'd on fights right now. So it's hard to enjoy this as much as I probably should.
All right. So as long as Recca doesn't show up and beat all of Class 1B really easily, then are you going to be a little bit better?
Presumably. I mean, if someone gets beaten because of boobies, they think boobies over and over again, I may go into like a toxic shock or something like that.
We'll have to wait for round 5 to see if that happens. So.
Okay.
Let's move on to Food War Shokugeki no Soma, chapter 280, Scent of a Comeback. The second year council kids get the money.
Yes. They did it.
They did it. It's a continuation of the previous chapter. That same guy who was really smirky and satisfied that the council was struggling is continuing to be smirky and condescending. Some of the other people in the Polaris Storm are doing a good job over there another stretch of beach, but they think that they're going to conquer everything, and then council's restaurant is opened up. They're sending Alice out in the smallest bikini bottoms I've ever seen in order to draw in customers. Same team of Soma and Takumi and the Kurokiba are cooking up food. It's got a lot of really powerful scent that Hayama whipped up in order to draw people in because it's so delicious smelling. And they make enough money to basically pay for someone's college tuition in one day.
Mm-hmm. They did it.
They did it. Anyway.
Yeah, there's not too much to say.
Really
we were in this weird spot where we know there's a much larger thing going on, but we still like went back to be like, hey, is the student council going to make it? I was like, I could have guessed they did.
Come on.
I don't know if you really need to put the suspense on for a couple chapters to be like, will they make it? It's like, yeah, I mean, every main character's in that group, and Eren has been kidnapped. How fucked up would it be if Eren has been kidnapped and all of the main characters get expelled? Just like, I don't know who's going to save her.
I mean, yeah, they got all sent home. Like, what are they going to do? I think that this needed to probably be more outlandish, honestly, in order to be interesting, because it's so predictable. It's just, okay, they did it. There's not even... It's not even like, some of the earlier tests in the series where, Soma, for example, made a miscalculation when they did the breakfast serving stuff, and then he had to recover from that. This one was just like, okay, we know the problem that they have, and over several chapters, they just fix it, and then they're awesome, and they win. Okay.
Which isn't all that satisfying.
Let's do Eden Zero next.
All right, so Eden Zero, Chapter 13, Eden Zero.
It's a little bit weird, isn't it?
So last time we were meeting Elsie Crimson, and we found out she's a skeleton, and her ship's full of all these weird tentacles and all sorts of weird stuff going on. So whoa, what's happening? And we kind of we started into that. There's a big fight that's kind of going on. Shiki's not winning, even though he has the power of gravity. He has a bunch of flashbacks thinking back to like when he learned gravity magic. We find out he learned it from the Demon Lord before, and he's fighting back. But then he thinks back to when the Demon Lord died, and he's like, "No, you can't die. I'm gonna miss you, and you never even taught me the gravity fist yet.
I haven't learned the Kaioken yet.
Yeah, I haven't learned gravity comet, so you can't die." And then we cut over into space, and the Interstellar Union Army, led by Justice, Victory, and Creed, are there.
It's so ridiculous.
They're there to be like, stuff's happening on the ship. So we go back in. Shiki's talking he's like, I'm going to find Mother.
Look at all that stuff that's happening. Wow. Yeah. You're right. Stuff is happening.
And Elsie's like, nobody could find Mother. You guys are crazy. And I'm going to be stronger than the Demon King. And then Shiki leaps off the top. And Nick, he never learned it. But somehow he pulls off the gravity comet. And he smashes Elsie through fucking 8 floors, and then her face is all crushed. But then they cut into the ship, and Justice is like, "What's happening on that ship? There hasn't been any change in Elsie's ether." Dun dun dun. Is he fighting a puppet? That's what I guess.
I think that's what's going on. I mean, the fact when she started summoning tentacles and stuff, I thought, I'm not sure if that's the real Elsie. And then there's this very, very straightforward, okay, clearly Shiki hasn't just beaten Elsie, the Urza equivalent, in one chapter in her very first fight in the series. Either she deliberately went easy on him to test his mettle, or she just unleashed a puppet to test his mettle. There's no way in hell that they're just going to and then Urza lost. Unequivocally. She is 0-1.
Just got flat out stomped.
Yeah. Because she's Elsie.
That'd be great. That'd be a fucking amazing twist as if Elfie sucked cock. She just ate shit in every fight she's in.
She's the chat of the series, and every time you have to wonder why the hell she lost to, the kitten that was crossing the road and she picked a fight with, and it's because she's Elsie.
Yeah, they're like, yeah, it's because she's Elsie. Just let her
Guys,
go.
They're just find her in a trash can while they're walking down the road. It's like, oh my God, Elsie, what do you think happened to her? It's like, it's because she's Elsie. Don't worry about it.
She probably got in a fight with the stop sign and lost.
Beyond that, I think that if you were to show this chapter to someone, or even if you were just to read this chapter to someone and they had no idea that Mashima Hiro was the guy who had done it, that they would go what? They set up a technique in in the beginning of the chapter, and then he uses the technique by the end of the chapter, and there's been no mention of it prior to this point. What, the guy who wrote Fairy Tail write this?
It's not even so much that it's brought up, then they don't even explain it. So when he accomplishes the move and he's like, I did it, I'm like, I guess that was the comet punch or whatever, the gravity comet or whatever. You're like, I mean, you could have at least showcased him trying to do that specific move before, but you just don't. I don't know.
It's not even all that. It doesn't seem all that special in terms of what he does, and there's no explanation of why it's difficult or anything. Like, you vaguely see that, like, he grows like wing-looking things from his head, but yeah, there's no explanation of why it's difficult or why it's a strong move.
I mean, I get why it's a strong move. It looks like he falls, grabs their head, and then like puts gravity to a maximum and just crushes their head through several like floors of material. I mean, that seems like a pretty powerful move. But like, why was that hard to do?
All of his finishing moves have been punching people anyway.
Yeah. Oh, Tombstone.
See, all of Big Show's punches are just regular punches, except when he makes a big deal of closing his fist, and then it knocks you out immediately. To people who aren't watching the video version of the podcast, I'm sorry that moment was lost on you. Okay, we're going to move on from there to Boruto! Chapter number 27, Breakdown and Negotiations. Chris, I want you to think about all the great shonen rivalries that we have experienced in our time as manga fans. Even Naruto and Sasuke, if you want to keep it within the Naruto franchise, or Ichigo and Byakuya, even Luffy and his various opponents, or if you want a longer term one, Inuyasha and fucking Sesshomaru or something like that. Think of all the deep history that goes between those rivals and the like reason
Goku
why they Goku and Vegeta, pride versus friendship, the dichotomy between characters, and all the reasons why they have such great ire towards each other, why they hold each other in such contempt and want to be better than each other and defeat each other. And none of them can hold a candle to, I want to go to the bathroom first. Not a single one can qualify as a better reason. If you tried to shoulder me out of the way when I was headed towards the bathroom and try and use the stall first, friendship over, Chris.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to be fair, Nick, let's be honest. There is another layer to this. He also broke fucking Hinata's vase. Little Hinata's vase. He's still pretty upset about that. Which,
by the way, she makes a weird fucking face at the beginning of this chapter where, Hinata's like, oh, all that feeling you put into it, I'll still remember that. That's enough for me, okay? And Himori's just like, okay, mother. It's like, okay, little demon child there.
Yes, mother. Absolutely, mother.
I understand what you mean completely. Just shows up like in the middle of the night, just standing over Kawaki's bed,
like just floating there, like twiddling her fingers, just like, what are you doing? That which calls to me. And then she floats out of the room. Everyone's just like, what's up with her? They're like,
Kawaki goes out. He's like, I'm really gonna pee now.
They're like, Huegas or whatever their name is.
Oh, Hyuga, right? Hyuga, yeah. So most of this there's so much of this chapter dedicated to Kawaki and Boruto having a literal pissing contest. Literally, they go to the bathroom and each of them wants to go first, and then Naruto's like, "I'm in here now. Piss against the back fence instead." So they go out standing next, like 2 feet from each other. Now let me tell you about my dark past, Boruto. Flawless transition.
Yeah, they had this conversation as fucking Naruto's just taking a dump in the bathroom.
Oh my god. So it turns out all of the other experimental kidnapped children, they exploded when special blood was pumped into them, but Kawaki survived. And so Boruto's like, oh, I guess that you were lucky that you managed to survive out of all of them, huh? That's amazing. No, I was not truly spared. It was just the opposite. Forget you're dark and tortured. Anyway, I have a tattoo, and you have a tattoo. Don't you want to get rid of them? I don't like you. You broke Himawari's vase. I'm gonna go stare out of the garbage bag that has the vase fragments in it. I guess I do feel bad about it. Maybe I should Find her a new one. Anyway, come with me, Kawaki. I'm Naruto now. Let's go do a thing.
Well, let's not forget, Nick. What technique does Naruto have to use while he's pooping? In a way we've never seen before.
He uses Kagebunshin Jutsu in order to go handle people while he's pooping.
But Nick, don't you mean he uses
it's not
his Kage no Bushin? It's Halloween month now, everybody, early. Right here for the season.
As he desperately tries to balance the hat on his headphones.
Get the tag out of there. There we go. I'm the Spook Master. Here now. Also, Kage no Poopshin.
You're just gonna make all of your poop puns now.
But like poop Clover, Nick.
Yeah, the Promised Neverland. So dumb. Teenage Renaissance David.
No, it's out of my reach now too. No one's ever gonna know I'm the Spook Master General.
The Spoop Master General.
We mentioned in the Q&A we recorded yesterday that since I've gone vegetarian, my poops have gotten 1,000 times smellier. So I feel like the Poop Master General is a very apt name for me right now.
Okay. I don't really have anything to say about this chapter of Boruto. It was fucking weird, and I have no idea why it went in this direction. Here we are now. Kawaki and Boruto hate each other, but at least they can bond over the fact that being pumped full of telekinesis goo sucks.
Yeah.
And also they know each other. Now they know what each other's pee smells like too. So yeah. Teenage Renaissance David. Going straight from a chapter about peeing to a chapter about peeing your pants. I will say this chapter is better than the previous one. That's a very low bar for me, but I do think it was better. It's gym class time, and David is trying to impress Venus again. And he basically tells her that he's awesome at soccer when he's not awesome at soccer. And she's like, okay. But then he's like, oh, I need to go to the bathroom, but I can't excuse myself to go to the bathroom in front of the girl I like. Why?
I can't. It'd be embarrassing.
So that's
she'd know he pees. Ew.
Yeah. So that's the premise we start off with. I can't go to the bathroom right now. I'll just have to hold it this entire time because it would be much worse if I pee my pants in front of her. So it all comes down to willpower, and then someone passes him the ball and it hits him right in the dick. Now, I don't know why exactly this would cause him to pee. I would think that if he got kicked in the stomach, that would, not help. But it happens again. He gets the ball kicked into his balls. So he's like, it's going to happen. I'm going to pee my pants. No! And then he runs around and he fucking scores a goal. Well, Venus is cheering him on. And he's like, yes, I did it. My love has even defied. Oh, he peed his pants. And then we get a reference to Michelangelo Buonaparte's The Last Judgment, which has David in the middle with pea-soaked gym shorts. But then, who should come rushing to the rescue, Chris? But Mannequin Piss, who is there, not wearing clothes, and he pees all over David, thereby masking the pee that David had let out into his own shorts. And David's like, wait, he peed on me on purpose to hide me. I would have been in trouble if not for that. And Mannequin says, you gotta rely on your friends sometimes. Our friendship ain't that lukewarm. Not like my pee.
The warmth of his pee is like our friendship. I'll be honest, I still enjoyed this chapter, if only for the one scene he gets kicked in the nuts with a soccer ball. He's like, oh, I can't, I got this. And somehow a second soccer ball kicks him in the nuts as well on top of the first one. You're like, why are they playing with a second soccer ball?
I don't know. I think that I could appreciate more those like, oh no, I'm going to be embarrassed. And then the fucking statue pees on him in order to save the day. It's like, okay, I understand that. I don't really care for this series, but it wasn't as bad as the first chapter.
Nick, what if this ends up teaching children about art? Like, what if Teenage Renaissance David like really re-educates the next generation? They're like, yeah, I know about like fucking that painting. It was in Teenage Renaissance David. He was peeing himself in it. This one doesn't have that. There's
a 10-year-old kid in Japan right now, and 8 years from now, he gets a scholarship and he travels to Italy. Studies the great artists, visits the museums, and becomes an amazing art historian. And one of his professors says, you worked really hard to get here. You got a scholarship. You learned Italian. You have immersed yourself in this culture. What inspired you to do this? Well, when I was 10 years old, I thought the piss jokes in Teenage Renaissance David were really funny.
They were off the fucking charts, bro.
And then that unlocked in me a great love of Renaissance art, which is why I've pissed my pants. Anyway, I'm from Japan. This chapter features Japan somehow tucking himself into his pants in order to become a pair of kicking butt cheeks. Like he just has his ass sticking out the top of his pants and he dances around martial arts style. And
it's a Grand Shinyan joke.
Yeah,
it's very funny.
Chris, what's We Never Learned this week?
Let me see. Let me pop over to We Never
That's your chapter review. Fuck you. So
I'm trying to even remember what We Never Learned was this week. Oh, right. I remember.
How could you forget? So now, just before we get into this, we have gone from pee to ass to bathhouse episode. I love my job, Chris.
It's great times, isn't it?
Love hosting a manga podcast, Chris.
Couldn't think of anything else I want to do on Thursday nights.
About culture and shit.
So it opens with Kirisu about to take a shower or about to take a bath, and she's like, "The water's cold." Turns out there's a service disruption at her house, so she's heading over to the bathhouse, and she meets up with Asumi and Yuega. Yuega's there, I guess, because he's just bored. He's like, "It happens to our house a lot all the time." Yeah. So Yuega's there with his younger siblings, and they're really excited because they're like, "Are you gonna marry our brother? You're so pretty." And Yuega's like, "Gosh, you guys are so misbehaved." And they come running back, and they have a bunch.
Wow, just assuming that an attractive girl is going to marry your brother. I mean, you're gonna wind up on the Supreme Court with that kind of attitude, man.
And they run back, and they have very frilly.
Sorry, it's September. I'm sorry, it's September 27th. So.
And they come back with some really frilly underwear, and he's like, why do you have those? Bring those. Get rid of those.
First thing they do.
I guess that's what kids do. I don't remember when I was like 3, but I guess I might have also been rummaging around for negligee. I don't know. So we cut over to Asumi and Kirisu, who are in the sauna, and they're having conversations. And I guess it's because it's like really hot out. They both kind of speak out of turn and reveal more than they want to. Like, so Asumi asks, like, what do you think about Yuega? And he's like, oh, he's really good. And, the other day he came back to my apartment and he's cleaning up and everything. And like, Asumi's like, you brought him to your apartment? She's like, oh, no, I didn't. Shut up. You didn't hear anything. And he's like, what do you think? He's like, oh, well, I agree. And, even when I injured my hand, I can't believe he'd went so far to even. She's like, what do you mean to even? She's like, oh, nothing. Ignore me. And they're like, oh, let's get out of here. So they get out of the sauna and they go to an ice cold bath. And they go do that instead. It's very nice. It's very relaxing. There's one moment where Kirisu finally gets used to the water, And I just like assume he just goes over and like sprays water in her face. And I don't know why. It's just very much like, I don't know, fuck your person directly sort of thing. And Yuiga is over there hearing kind of this conversation happening as his kid siblings are fucking worrying about. He's like hearing from the other side, like, don't touch me there. And he's like, God, this sounds really weirdly erotic. And he's like, why am I thinking this? Wait, where's younger sister? And she's gone to the other bathhouse. She's like, wow, you're so pretty. Please marry my brother. And she's like, no, I'm not going to do that. And the little girl gets sad. She's like, oh, okay, well, maybe one day. And the little sister like turns. She's like, I'm going to go tell big brother. And Kirsty's like, oh no. And she slips on a bar of soap. And thankfully, Asumi's head was in the way of showing all of her sensitive bits, because it's very well placed. And she hurt herself. And they have to ask Yuiga to help because he's the only man in the place. Everyone else is like old dudes.
I want you to pause for a second. I want you to imagine the rest of this chapter, except that Kurisu has a very concerning head wound.
Oh, she's just bleeding out of it. Yeah, she's just fucking...
Everything else in the series happens. You know, her waking up, her scolding Yuiga, her having her towel whipped off and fainting, but she's got a gaping head wound the entire time.
Yeah, like there's no injury to herself. She just like fucking like as superficial of a wound as she got, just like, oh, I fainted. Yuiga's carrying her out, and she's just wearing a towel, so it's kind of uncomfortable. And she's like, don't do that. How dare you? And she's scolding Yuiga, and his little sister's just like, hey, it's not his fault. Don't be mean to him. And she pulls off Kirisu's towel and shows her naked body to everybody, but Asumi blocks his eyes. Well, so
I do like the Asumi's just like, yeah, I fear this is gonna happen. She just like has her hands ready to do that.
She's like, maybe it's a bit much if you see her entirely naked. I'm up for some good-natured ribbing, just like anybody else. But so Kirisu apologized. She's like, hey, you know, I heard what happened. Sorry about that. And you know, Asumi tries to get like, hey, man, look, it was a pretty good situation for you. He's like, please shut up. Please stop making this worse. And
you're going to get me sued.
They start heading home, and Kirisu says something to Asumi. She's like, you know, one thing's kind of troubling me. And Asumi shouts out, she's like, what? Your bra and panties are missing? You mean you're going commando now? And I fucking love the look Yuiga has, because he's looking over and his little siblings are holding up the underwear, and he just has this look. He's like, you motherfuckers, I'm gonna kill you. Like, he's so done with their shit. He's so infuriated. Like, it's like a look that he's just like, I'm gonna kill you. I'm gonna kill children. I'm fine with it. Because you, like, he already knows before he looks. He's like, you motherfuckers stole her goddamn underwear, didn't you?
One of the things that I realized about We Never Learn, because I actually went back a couple of weeks ago and revisited like the first couple of chapters. Mm-hmm. If you go back, Yuiga is drawn very differently now than he was back then. He's drawn much more softly. In fact, you can actually see if you go to the beginning of this chapter, because the character introduction panels are all like the first version of that panel. So you can see that he had like smaller eyes for his head, a sharper jawline and stuff like that, because he's, you know, a pathetic, you know, kind of dude nowadays, but he was a much more serious sort of character at the very start. You know, very determined to, you know, get the scholarship and all that stuff. So this look that he throws at his kid siblings is kind of a little bit of a return to that, because you rarely ever see Yuiga like angry. And this is like the furthest extent of that you actually see. You're just like, guys, I fucking hate his kid siblings, by the way. Fucking hate them.
I mean, I guess it serves to cover the point that they're like, the kids are fucking annoying and whatnot, but yeah, like they just serve for the I mean, it's not a good chapter. It's you know, another one of those like goofy fan servicey joke chapters. There's moments of like comedy to it. I do legitimately just love the look Yuiga gives him at the end. He's just so done with it.
You fucking sons of bitches.
Cock-sucking children. I don't normally call children cocksuckers, but fuck, you learned it today.
I am going to wad you both up into a single football-sized shape and punch you. All right. Dr. Stone. All right. It's Z equals 75. 20-second countdown. Yeah, the Kingdom of Science is launching their assault on Tsukasa's group that is guarding the Cave of Miracles. And they have the new and improved Steam Gorilla at their disposal with the tank kind of cannon at the top. They launch what is referred to as a scare tactics Molotov, which basically just harmlessly sets off an explosion above everyone. Big distraction, freaks everyone out because they think, oh shit, it's firing tank shells at us. And then they move in from there. But Chrome and Ged point out, like, well, hang on a second. This Tsukasa probably already knew that we were going to have some sort of a steam engine type of thing. So there's probably traps laid out in front of the cave. And Senku's like, that's absolutely correct. That is definitely what has happened. Anyway, let's ram over them. And they just immediately charge through all of the booby traps that have been set up. It's an incredibly satisfying sequence, I think. Mm. And then all the foot soldiers come rushing in. Taiju has a shield, with the carbon shield, and he takes the front, deflects a bunch of attacks. There are attacks that get around, and he's got a lump on his head afterwards. But Taiju's just like, it's okay, hurting people is wrong, and they're like, okay. Kohaku rushes in and. Along with Kinro and Jasper, I think, and they're just knocking people over the head, disarming them, running them over. The tank eventually topples over from one of the traps, and it's just left up on its side. But from there, Magma rushes over, opens up the hatch, and helps them out. And I do like the little exchange that Senku has with him, where he's just like, "Hey, you know what to do," and Magma says, "That's no way to order people around. How about you say please?" But he takes out this large dish. It looks like a radar dish. And it is explained to be a shock cannon. They set this basically sonic grenade in the front of it and then point it, and the dish amplifies and redirects the sound because all the sound is bounced in a single direction. I'm not sure if they would have actually had the technology to actually properly do that, but I know that is an actual weapon that is used, especially like among police forces and stuff. And it knocks a bunch of people out when they do that. Then we see Ukyo and Nico, I think, get involved because some apparently reporter lady is trying to sneak off in order to report everything, and Ukyo, cuts her off with an arrow, and Nico stops her by tickling her. And then finally, there's like one last rush of spearmen to deal with. Things are looking a little bad because the last of their sonic bombs has been knocked out of Chrome's hand. They can't load it up into the sonic cannon. So Taiju just like, ugh. And he turns towards Chrome and Senku, and they realize what he's thinking. They lift up the dish, and he just yells into it, and it blasts a wave of sound through and behind him and knocks out the remaining guards. And hey, they won! They won the battle for the Cave of Miracles in the 20 seconds that they needed in order to take everyone by surprise, and they managed to do it without causing any fatalities. Hooray!
It's a little surprising. It all ended in one chapter. I thought we'd get like 10 seconds in and then the other half. I guess that makes sense for how like Dr. Stone's pacing generally works. But, it's exciting. Like it felt kind of satisfying. They managed to use some kind of ingenious moves and some clever help to kind of get to that point. So it's pretty cool to like, it wasn't just that they had one plan, like we'll charge straight forward. There were backups and contingencies they had to use. So it was pretty cool.
Okay. Fuck. I don't know why I'm so fucking thirsty today. All right, we're going to move on from there. The 7 Deadly Sins.
So, 7 Deadly Sins, chapter 283, A Drive to Survive, which sounds like a movie tagline or something like that.
Or a
like
racing game or something like that.
Yeah, like this is the next Fast and the Furious. Like Fast 12, Drive to Survive.
Just like skip the intervening 3 movies.
I don't know what number they're at.
I think they're around 8. I don't know.
Whatever,
it doesn't matter.
Have you watched any before?
Literally none of them.
Okay. So this chapter is all inside of Purgatory, where Bon and Melodius and Wild are still trapped there. We see that they're still fighting against the Demon Lord over and over again and failing. And it's just like, not only are they not getting out, they're actively making him stronger with each attempt. So, like, there's a whole thing, but for a moment, Melodius starts to think, like, maybe I'm just not meant to return to the plane. Like, maybe this is the best. Now my curse can't affect Elizabeth. Bond's like, no, I mean, Elizabeth wouldn't take that. So we're getting out of here. We're saving our girls. We're going to break the curse on the princess, and I'm going to bring Aline back to life. So, don't lose heart. And we see that Wild is hurt the next time they try to attempt it. And Bond heals him. He's like, oh, here, let me try something. And he gives him something. And he's like, yeah, I found out that trying to snatch his power over and over again has only actually made him stronger. So I guess because it's been 60 years of attempting this, my power's kind of changed, and now it grants instead. So Bond's got a different sort of power. Interesting.
So, and Wild says, like, well, isn't that bad for you, though? Because you're basically, like, granting me life force. And Bond's like, I'm immortal. It doesn't matter.
But during the previous attack against the Demon King taunted Melodius by saying, like, yeah, no matter what you do, you're never going to get past me. Your moves are just imitations you learned from Chandler. Unless you use your own original magic, you cannot fight me. But even that's not possible because you're afraid. Bond's like, hey, what do you think he meant by that? He's like, I don't know. Maybe I have to think about this. Maybe what we're doing isn't going to work. And they approach the Demon King again. And he's like, oh, this again.
These assholes again.
He's like, I'd like to... I'm halfway through season 2 of The Good Place. Can we wait until that's done? I don't know what's going to happen. I like Chidi, though. Chidi's funny. He makes me laugh. And he says, hey, we're not going to do what we do. Because we realize what the secret behind your magic is, the ruler. And it's reversal. Anytime we do anything that would attack or would weaken you, it changes to instead healing you or strengthening you. He's like, oh, good. Now things will be a little less boring. And like, yeah, now the real fight starts.
Well, so and Bond actually demonstrates the truth of this because he uses his granting ability, and the king was like, oh, fuck that. So
it seems that they have to heal him instead or something like that. It's that weird anti-boss fight that exists in RPGs sometimes.
It's like how if you use Cure Wounds on zombies, it actually hurts them, Chris, because it channels positive energy at them.
Mm-hmm.
It's an interesting little chapter. A little bit jarring to jump right back into it after the fight with Mail, with no follow-up to that. But honestly, it's about the way that Seven Deadly Sins has been running since both of these plot lines have started. It's just, jumping back and forth without really thinking too much about the fallout of each one. Just, keep the action going.
Mm-hmm.
I also will say that it seems as though that Bond seems to believe. I think it's that Bond is implying when he's looking at his hand after he realizes he can grant life force to people, that I think that's probably what he's planning on doing with Elaine.
That would make sense.
So, all right. From there, we are going to go over to the Promised Neverland, Chapter 104, Abandon. Last time, the kids were beset by that one guy who was fucking working with the demons. They discover their hiding place. They go and hide in the walls, basically, in this chapter. And this is a very Lucas-heavy chapter, because he and some kid, one of the kids from Gracefield House? Was it Gracefield? Or was he from fucking... It doesn't matter. One of the kids is with him, and they are separated from everyone else because they went into a different hiding place from all the others. So they're hiding out near the security monitoring room, which basically Emma establishes that there are like 7 different secret compartments with weapons caches and everything like that in the entire hideout. And so they're hanging up by the phone, seemingly. And there are also all these different exit routes that they can take out of there to safely get away that these invaders don't know about. But Lucas realizes, because one of them has gone to the monitors, that he's going to go into it, and he's going to figure out that they're not actually feeding live footage. He immediately actually figures that out. He's like, yeah, they're showing fake footage, so I bet I'll reconnect them so that we can actually see what the hell's going on. And of course, if they do that, they're going to be able to monitor all the exits, and nobody's going to be able to get away because he'll just radio to everyone else what's going on. So Lucas is like, I'll handle this. And he just goes up and he just fucking chokes the guy out with one arm.
He's like, this is easy.
He chokes the guy out. The kid starts to come out and he's like, okay, hang on, I'm going to destroy the monitors and you should. But he picks up the radio that has fallen off of the guy. And he's like, Rossi, which is your name, kid. Yes, I remember your name. Go now. And we immediately see Rossi racing through the tunnels because he's like, I've got to hurry and let everyone know. Because had showed him over the radio, they said, take your positions, units, and secure all of the exits. So they don't know how or why, but enemy is aware of all of the emergency exits, all the secret ones they shouldn't be aware of. So because they're going to monitor all of them, and all of Emma's group are heading towards one of them, as soon as they get out of there, they're going to be gunned down, basically. So that's what's going on in Promised Neverland. Yeah.
I don't have much to say. Like,
yeah,
again,
we'll see what happens
that
next
point.
time. Yeah, we'll see what happens next time, I think. Black Clover!
Yep, Black Clover, page 174, flying in. So last time, Jack the Ripper, a.k.a. the best hero, shows up, saves everybody, sliced up a dude. We don't have time for that anymore. So like,
what a good guy. Yeah.
There is, I will admit, there's actually kind of a cool scene where they're both like trying to attack, like they're about to get attacked rather, and Finral creates a portal for both of them, and it's kind of this interesting like one-page spread that shows the two of them kind of from opposite sides of the screen in a verticality kind of sense, like coming up and rising up to attack the guy that was gonna hit them. So it's kind of cool to do it that way. But yeah, they're like, hey, you gotta get us over to the Capitol because shit's happening. And we go inside and we see that member of the Golden Dawn, who I don't remember.
Compass magic.
Yeah, compass magic person. Who actually we see that why they are compass magic. Before they just reflected things, but now they have compass needles that home in on their target. And it's, the people, they're, the royals, they're evil. Because one's like, what are you doing? Shield me, common born servant. You lower classes exist for us to, and he gets killed. And then like the maid's like, oh no. And then she kills the maid too. She's like, whatever. So cut inside. I don't remember. Oh, Solid rather is apparently still recovering from his fucking injuries from the tournament. Like he's really nursing this shit because he's still in bed recovering. And the other sister's there.
Finral was out of bed before this guy. Like, come on. And Finral's body was eaten away. Parts of him were missing.
He's really milking it. And then the compass magic shows up and she's like, you're powerful royals. Well, I've come to kill you. And what's her stupid name? She says it's something. Nebra. Nebra's like, you won't beat me. So she creates a bunch of clones all made out of mist. And the one's like, I'm so sorry. I have the perfect counter for your bullshit. I don't even know. It hits you. She's like, God damn it.
It's actually honestly really satisfying, I think.
She's just like, what?
Aha! I summoned a bunch of mirror images. That one.
Come on, man.
No! Damn it! I wasted my level 1 spell.
It's like that satisfaction when you're playing like a trading card game. Someone does like a bunch of moves and you hit like the perfect counter for it. It happened to me during a draft we did recently. And this is, I guess, only interesting for Magic players, but we were playing Theros, and there's a card in there, a removal card, that hits every creature with the same name. And the guy I was playing played 3 turns in a row the same creature, which is really unlikely in draft because you don't build, like, you just build out of packs. So it's just, I'm sitting there laughing my ass off as for like he's ending his turn. I'm like, I'm so sorry. This isn't even the best.
Now that I've summoned my 3 blue-eyes white dragons, you can't help to defeat me, Yugi.
I'm laughing. I'm like, this isn't even the best play, but I'm never going to get more value than I am right now, and I want it. And it's just so satisfying to have that perfect counter. That's what happens here. She's like, you can never get my clone. She's like, man, this is going to be really satisfying in a moment. And Solid's like, what are you doing? You can't, yeah. She's like, fuck you, you're gonna die. I don't care what you're saying. And we see the big floating fucking rock. And Yami's like, oh, that looks dangerous. Well, glad someone's coming before it. And we see that Nozel is on his way with his big his Mercury Eagle, and they're flying ahead. So
it's like the classiest way you could possibly travel around, honestly.
Because birds faster than rocks.
Made of silver.
Yeah, faster than rocks. Scientific fact. And he's, they're coming, and Yami's like, good, the royals are back. I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, I guess. Like the 4 royals who aren't super assholes, and the jury's not actually really out on Nozel yet.
I just want to point out that when they first cut to, the Silva residence, all the royals and stuff are being killed by Compass Girl, that there's a point where, like, she kills some guy that you don't even get a good look at because he's like, "You magic knights exist to protect those of us in the upper classes." It's like, oh my god, how many times do you have to have it beaten over your head? It's like, the royals are bad. Anyway, it's a good thing that the purge happened. So
Yeah.
That's what the point of those movies is, right, Chris?
Yeah,
Purges are awesome.
I think so. Yeah, everyone's like progressively been like, Purge is better, and eventually, by the end of it, the Purge is actually kind of the hero of the movie. It's kind of like Jason movies, where eventually, like, another bad guy kind of shows up, and they're like, "We need Jason to save us."
Hey, better than evil, you know.
Yeah, like Freddy's gonna kill us when we get to our sleep. We gotta make sure Jason fights him.
What franchise would the Purge cross over with in order for that to happen? It would be like the Purge and like fucking was the fucking one with the nun movie that's coming out?
Oh, the Conjuring universe. Yeah, like it's a haunted house. So like the haunted house is doing all this stuff, but they're like, the Purge is happening. So a bunch of people are gonna come in to rob us.
Oh no, that we're haunted by demon nuns and dolls and all this shit. We need people in shitty masks who hate each other to come in and kill them.
We need weird, like, wonton rioters to break in and rob us and save us from the monsters.
Only when our possessions have been destroyed and 60% of us have been killed will the demon curse be lifted.
By the way, can I note, I don't watch any of the Conjuring movies. I don't really care for them. Fuck the nun in particular, though. It's the only fucking time I've ever seen a horror movie that has a fucking jump scare in the fucking credits. Like, it's not like the nun, like, pops out during it, but it's like, it's the orchestral music, so it's just like...
Oh, wait, have you actually seen that movie?
Well, no, I worked at a movie theater, so I've had to clean up after
You've seen it afterwards.
So
okay.
the credits are playing while I'm cleaning because everyone else is left, so it's like... And I'm like, fuck you, man. Who puts jump scares in the fucking credits? You cocksucking movie.
The part of that movie, like, I saw a scene in it that I thought was going to make it actually a little bit more interesting, which was the one that's at the end of all the trailers.
Oh,
where
she's walking down the hallway.
She's walking down the corridor, and she looks, and the camera pans over, and then it pans back, and there's a shadowy nun figure who's following after her. And it's like, oh shit, you can actually see it. Oh no, what's gonna happen? And then she and looks over and is like, hello? And another one comes out of her face.
It's like, I'm a you, bitch.
I was a Superman jump scare after all. So yeah, didn't break my no horror movies rule in order to go see that movie. It looked stupid. So anyway, we're gonna finish things off now with One Piece, chapter 918. Luffy Taro returns the favor. Whew. So, last time Luffy used his Red Hawk technique in order to punch the fuck out of Hold'em, knock him the fuck out, and then he grabs Otama at the start of this chapter and is racing through the crowd while everyone's trying to figure out what the fuck to do. And then he's like, a horse! And he jumps on Speeds, the Smile user centaur lady that was introduced in the last chapter. And he's just like, let's go, horse!
Yeah, let's go! And she's like, stop it!
He's like, get off of me! And he's like, a person? No, wait, you're a horse! Hang on! Wait a minute! Tama, use your dumplings to take control of her! And she's like, I don't know if this is gonna work. I mean, I've never used them on a person before. And Speed's like, that dumpling looks delicious, and eats it, and is immediately like, let's go! And this is such a weird sequence. It's like, okay, well, I guess it turns out that if you're a Smile user, you're more animal than person as far as her devil fruit's concerned.
I do love that Luffy immediately names her too. He's like, okay, horse Lena. He's like, I understand she's a horse lady, so that's why I put the Lena at the end.
He couldn't think of a good way of inserting his name with the Nay, like Nafy just sounds really awkward. So he's like, a horse Lena. Why did she? So I also like that she gives Luffy lip because he's like, come on, let's go, horse. And she's like, I'm not your servant. Actually, I think that we should do what she should do. Okay. So, And they get away really quickly because, of course, speed is very, very, very fast. So Otama brings up as they're escaping, like, when you were fighting him back there, you were just like Ace. It was like, he even used the Red Hawk, so he had a fire fist technique. So there you go. We cut over to where Law is at the gate into the town. He still is wearing the basket over his head to disguise himself, but that doesn't really last very long. He ends up using his room technique, which I think Hawkins basically immediately recognizes him. He recognizes the technique, and then he recognizes his fucking finger tattoos, and is like, aha, so you do have an alliance with Straw Hat. Meanwhile, Law, like, carves up 3 of his henchmen with his Chambers technique. Although there is an odd little moment where it seems as though he, like, deflects it into somebody.
What?
Because, like, Hawkins, like, darts. Oh, I guess he, like, must have avoided him. He must have, like, darted around him when Law tried to sneak attack him. Because there's, like, a follow-through panel after the attack, and then Law is shocked when another guy his torso gets knocked out of his body.
Well, no, because Law cut him, and it was his voodoo power, so it just killed someone else.
He redirected
didn't kill him, but yeah, it just...
He redirected it.
Yeah, whatever happens to him happened to someone else.
So after that, Hawkins is just like, just take off your fucking mask. I know it's you. And he gets it off of his head with his, whippy sword. And then they have like a clash of swords after that. And they exchange words for a little bit. And he's like, I ran into the Straw Hats earlier, so I assumed that you wanted to silence me before your cover was blown. Then they get like a report over Addendum to She's saying, like, Holda's been defeated, they're on the run. And Law's like, God damn it, fucking Luffy, I hate these people. I hate working with these fucking amateurs. Immediately after that, the giant fucking cart of food that is been hooked up to the Koma Inu comes bursting out of the city, led by Zoro. And Law, I think, hops up onto the barge and is like, what are you doing? But yeah, they run off with the treasure barge and they lead it back to the town that the town of Scraps, Okabore. And they unload it. Luffy gifts it to everyone. He smashes a bunch of guards with a giant fucking barrel of water. And he's like, hey, everyone has this. If anyone asks, my name's Luffy Taro, and I did this for you. Hi, Traffy. I do like that Luffy has this great little moment. He's like, hey, Tama, this is a favor. This is to repay that favor you did for feeding me. It's just the start. Guys, let me have some of that meat.
Yeah, give me some.
And I do kind of like that. I mean, he's giving it to them, but he's like, "Oh, I gave you a feast, but I'm going to eat too."
He's like, "Yeah, I mean, I eat too. I mean, come on,
come on, guys." We see a little bit of the aftermath of the scuffle that they had at the previous town. Hold'em is, out on his back. Hawkins is kind of just surveying over stuff that has happened. And then we cut back to Okabore, and Luffy says, "This isn't like a special occasion, Tama. I'm going to make it so this is normal. By the time we leave this country, it'll be a place where you can eat as much as you want every single day." And of course, again, Otama's reminded of Ace, and she starts to tear up, and Luffy's like, do you not want that? And Otama's like, no, I'm fine, I'm happy, just... And everyone that they know from this country is dead, Chris. That's the final panel of the chapter.
I mean, we don't know necessarily that.
They're dead. They're dead, Chris. They're all dead.
Yeah, it's interesting though, like the ghosts of this country, and it's like, okay, let's see what happens from this.
Oh my God, Momonosuke's dead. He will be missed. We see a bunch of gravestones for the members of the Kozuki clan and their handlers at the very end, and Zoro says that Luffy's got to see it, and when he sees it, he'll be stunned to know the truth about them. So, but that's it. Nice little chapter. I did really like the very beginning of it, and then it's just like, okay, well, we got to establish that yes, Luffy is still a good guy. So,
yep.
is going to do it. That's it for Weekly Manga Recap. We managed to get through it, Chris. My voice is very tired now, but
You're telling me.
We are here at the end now. So we're going to name our favorite chapters for this week, and I will begin with Flame of Recca. No, I'm just kidding.
Best series, guys. You should really check it out. It's pretty funny when you get right down to it.
Guys, start making suggestions on stuff. We've been saying over the course of the month that you should be sending in recommendations for like Halloween series for us to review. But honestly, it's my pick next year, kind of, for Sadistic September, and I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'll have to think about it and see if I can remember any like appropriate series for that. What's that?
History's Strongest Disciple, Kenichi.
It might have to be it. But if you have any suggestions for a good series that would, appropriately torture us, then make those suggestions, guys. And of course, yes, it's Halloween month coming up, as Chris brought up earlier, with the boo and then poo puns. So send in appropriate horror series for that. And yeah. And by the way, you can do all that by going on our Discord. You can also do that by sending us emails. We can mangarecap@yahoo.com. Anyway, now we'll do our favorites for this week.
I'll give my favorite to Seven Deadly Sins, and then my MVP to, I guess, Tokuyami. Nothing was particularly standing out for me this week, so.
Didn't have a lot of time to let anything digest because we had 12 series anyway. So I'm going to say my favorite this week was Dr. Stone. I thought it was a really cool action sequence that we got. I feel like I've been doing Dr. Stone a lot recently, but it was really good. Favorite character, I think this week I'm actually going to go with Bon. I like this different twist on his power, and I also like the determination that he showed, and just the kind of ability to remain calm and determined and look at things, in that way, and keep Meliodas motivated when they've been apparently spending 60 years trying to fight this seemingly unconquerable foe. Mm-hmm. That is going to do it, everyone. Thank you guys for joining us for Weekly Manga Recap, which we record Thursdays at around 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time here on twitch.tv/RoloT and smashcast.tv/RoloT. If you want to stay updated for when we're doing bonus stuff and releasing that, for when we have to record the show at a different time, all that stuff, you can follow us on Twitter @RoloT and @NickFTime, and the podcast account @WMR Podcast. You also check out our past episodes on weeklymangarecap.podbean.com, as well as on our YouTube channel and on iTunes. And if you check us out in those different ways, be sure to leave a comment, rating, subscription, all that good stuff to help out with the algorithm and help us conquer the woodworkers and become kings of the hobby section. Special thanks go out to Steve Man, our target artist. You can check out his work in a bunch of different places. He's got his own Patreon, patreon.com/SteveMan, and as well as Infamous Planet for the work that you do for us, man. And that is going to do it. We will check you guys out next time for some Halloween stuff. Oh shit! I was supposed to pick out the series that we were going to cover.
Yeah, Nick, are we not doing a series this week?
I forgot. Whoops! I'll have to let you. I'll figure that out, and Chris will let you know right away, and then I'll put it up on Twitter to let people know.
Well, again, everybody, as Halloween month's coming around, make sure you give us a 5-star review on iBooze.
You know what? I'll actually give you that one.
Remember, Nick, some people were sad that they thought I was dead.
You know what, Chris? I would have missed a lot of things about you, but I don't know if I would have missed the boo puns. Goodbye.